I was lost. I was really lost with my relationships, my relationship to my work, and I ended up sort of breaking down in the office and being like, you know what, like, damn, I can't do this anymore. There's so many artists now, so many, that their primary discipline is content creation. I'm of the generation where like I just made music and then all of a sudden had to be fluent in online marketing, essentially.
So this is the first in-person interview that I've done on this channel, and I love doing it. Ever since I started making the Creative Minds videos, I've felt like I've been riding a bit of a wave of artists, creatives, and people in general just wanting to discuss the kind of issues that I try and pull forward here.
You don't need stress and bad, negative things to happen to you to make good art.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that I've said that. But for Onion on this particular album, like you said, when you feel this weight of whatever that may be, you often find yourself at the piano, you know, because it is a place to unpack these things in private, you know.
In this conversation, I was keen to approach the topics I wanted to discuss with a sense of being an avatar of what this audience and this community on YouTube here has told me that they care about. And I wanted to start with a conversation that a lot of people are reflecting back at me at the moment.
But when I hand over the keys, baby, all I hear is crickets. When I drop down to my knees, baby, all I hear is crickets. When I reach out, all I hear is crickets. When I reach out, all I hear is
I was speaking to an artist who watches my work. He's a music producer. He's called Ya Minko. He was saying that he's starting to feel like he needs to put music to the side for a bit because he was trying so hard to realise his goals with music that he kind of became ungrounded in himself. And he started to lose himself a bit in trying to make it.
Like I said, at first, it starts with wanting to free what's in here, but then there's a career I'm trying to build. There are things I'm trying to do. And then I'm spending so much time trying to get good at this, trying to navigate what comes with it, that it eats at social life. It eats at relationship with self. Outside of it, everything else is so fragile and abstract. And, you know, and there's always the reason of, well, it's worth it for the payoff.
You know, I hate to quote things back at people, but I was reading something that you wrote about the place that you were at before making this album.
Sure. Yeah.
And kind of being so busy. In terms of that space you were at, does that resonate with you a little bit?
Yeah,
like
definitely. I think the irony is that if you try really hard in terms of to make something, music, let's say, it's often not very good. We were just saying this off camera, right? You were saying like that I just do the stuff I like. And I was like, yeah, you have to, because that's what people want to see. You can get in the rut of really trying to make the perfect song, you know, like record it perfectly, or more than that, you know, overwrite it and write the lyrics, then edit them, and then edit them again and again and again and again until they're perfect, right? And all of a sudden, all you've done is just like homogenize your whole process, and to the point where it's like there isn't any of the initial spark or the initial feeling left in it. And I've done that so many times, you know. And when I was writing this current album, I'd written maybe 150 songs, maybe 3 or 4 albums worth, which I put into these playlists as albums and presented them to management and labels and stuff and been like, I finished my album, what do you think? And all of them had very lukewarm reaction, and I couldn't get my head around it because I was like, well, why? Because I've like these songs are really good, like perfectly written. And I've been doing it such a long time that I can write a good song every time I try because I know how to.
Yeah.
But in terms of the craft is good. But whether or not the product is good is a completely different thing. And then I put all of that in the bin and ended up finishing my album in less than a month because I just went with the inspiration. I didn't edit any of it. I recorded it with my friend Taka in the room, and each song took about 2 hours. And we just recorded it, and we never changed anything about it. And then we mixed it. and we weren't even going to mix it. We were just going to put the demos out, but we ended up wanting to mix it. And that, I feel like that's my best work because I didn't have any time to edit it. And I think as soon as you try, and going back to your point, that's a very long explanation, but the point of like, as soon as you try and do something and you have these visions of like, oh, you know, if I have a big hit, then my career will go to this level and this level. And as soon as you start thinking like that, like you've kind of shot yourself in the foot, because the art needs to come first and the inspiration needs to come first and the feeling needs to come first. And if none of those things are there, then you're just building something with no solid foundation. I mean this in terms of like careers, but also individual songs, you know. If I could go to the studio after this and try write a song, and I will, you know, and I'll do that, but I'm not feeling like really inspired right now. So I'd just be maybe wasting my time. And sure, my craft would get better because I've been practicing and it will like exercise that muscle and that songwriting muscle, blah, 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 blah. But unless you've got something to say, then there's not much point in trying to say anything. That's my experience.
I hear all of that.
I
hear all of that. Yeah.
But then I don't want to promote laziness either, because I also like that for some years of my life went to the studio every single day because I was like, well, inspiration's only gonna like strike if I'm actually in a place where I can bottle it. And if I'm just on the bus and I'd like sing it into my phone, that's great, but I'll never return to that feeling. So being in the studio is good. And if anyone's watching, like, go to the studio, that's good. But like, I've found where I'm at now in my process, like, I can't just hang around the studio all day because it just kills my vibe. I need to just want to go there and then go, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I recognise that balance as well around having to kind of live your life and be grounded and or, you know, when I say be grounded, what am I talking about? I'm talking about respecting key relationships, like caring about things other than I'm just going to rigidly do this because I need to put all my time into it. But there is a balance there because there's a saying, the muse only turns up if you're there to sitting around ready to meet it kind of thing. Right, yeah. So you have to be there with your pen and your pad or whatever. Sure. If you want it to turn up. But yeah, I think, is it about something about like creating space for it?
Yeah, I don't want to sit here and pretend that I have the answer to the question either.
No,
because,
absolutely.
Like, this is just like, my process
that.
Changes from album to album, from, you know, I'm fairly hectic from, you know, week to week, you know. I could sit here in a month's time and be like, you know what, I've been in the studio every single day because that's what I need. But it's like, I think you just have to, like I said, there is this irony in all of this, is that you just kind of have to be patient with songwriting and create just ideas, you know. Like, I don't have good ideas every day, but sometimes I do. And I know that about myself now. So I just I don't sit around and do nothing all day, but I certainly don't, like, if I don't have anything to say, then I don't write lyrics, because and I can, is what I'm saying. I can write, like, we could write a poem, couldn't we, right now? But
we could.
If, like,
should we?
Maybe after this we should. Yeah, it'd be terrible because
it would be terrible because it would be like vacant.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't know each other too
well.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
That's it's a perfect demonstration of the point. Like, you have to allow yourself to be incredibly vulnerable and have something to say that is powerful to you.
So yeah, pause and pulling back from a moment, I really wanted to just underline and pick out that topic of vulnerability. In this conversation, we're looking through different lenses of creative spaces, lenses of different people we might work with, or certain forms of creative practice that we might use. But the model that encompasses all of this is about how that practice can dig down into those layers that everyday life can build up on us, and how the work, if we want it to connect with people and be true and powerful, is going to require us to move into that space of vulnerability in order to move through it and access the honesty and the truth that's going to be at the other side of that.
And And if you think you've been listening to my best work, you'll know when you hear it and each word hurts. Mad to think these were thoughts that had never occurred. Tried to bottle it up, but you've been dying of thirst, and so I had to give it to you. All my learning curves play out in front of you, but where's my just deserves? I was feeling better than I did at my worst, but the last 18 months, every line has been blurred, every line has been crossed, and all my friends have been burned. Should have put myself first, but I put it all into my work. See, this is my identity, I'm always wearing the merch. Mad to think these were thoughts that had never occurred. If this is my end credits, I think I'm okay with it. I came, I saw, I conquered, I quit.
You know, I make some visual art myself and also some music myself.
Cool.
And like spoken word stuff as well.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay,
and
that's amazing, man.
I do that. You know what? It may sound a bit prosaic, but I always come to that stuff when I need to like heal something.
Absolutely.
When I go through heavy stuff in my life, I'll find myself at my piano or I'll have my keyboard in my bed. That will be the place I will go when I'm dealing with something.
Yeah.
And so creative practice for me is a way to process things and also to understand my experience.
Yeah.
And yeah, in terms of this album, in terms of Onion, what were you taking into that? What do you think's coming through the album in terms of your experience?
There was so much. And I think for me, I was going through a lot of stress, right? You don't need stress and bad, negative things to happen to you to make good art.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that I've said that. I could have made a different album if I had loads of good things happening, right? But for Onion on this particular album, like, life was incredibly challenging. I'd like been through, I suppose, the rawest part I was really tapping into was a romantic breakup, a very important relationship of mine that as long term as well. Like, it wasn't just a flash in the pan. This was something that was incredibly important to me. That was probably the rawest, freshest wound I was trying to heal. But I'd also, this album came at the end of a lawsuit that we were experiencing, which we changed our name. There was all of this going on, and I felt like I just felt like I was very close to giving up. And in fact, before I went to Japan and wrote the album, I'd been in this very building to see my record label, and I'd presented them one of these albums that I was telling you about, which was full of like well-written songs, but I didn't really believe in it. And they said, they echoed those thoughts, and they said, what do you think? And I was like, yeah, I think it's quite good. And they're like, yeah, it is quite good, but do you want to put something out that's quite good? And I'm like, no. And they're like, and I ended up sort of breaking down in the office and being like, you know what? Like, it wasn't like I quit, fuck you. It was more like, damn, I can't do this anymore. And I really believe that. I internalized that idea because I'd gone from touring the world and just being really busy with music to getting sued and just sat at home all the time trying to make music. So I was lost. I was really lost with my relationships, my relationship to my work, being signed to a major label. Like, my relationships with the band had also were fairly turbulent. Someone's actually left the band in this process. I'm my best friend since I've been in a band with this guy for 15 years. Like you said, when you feel this weight of whatever that may be, you often find yourself at the piano, because it is a place to unpack these things in private, And me and my friend Taka, we were doing that together, and it was a beautiful thing. And I wasn't in the studio with the intention of making music to release. I was in this sort of holy, sacred place where you're making it just for yourself, and that is when it's just the best, and also when the art is the purest too. So yeah, it took an enormous amount of stress and, big word, but despair, but I made this music that I'm incredibly proud of now. Yeah, sorry, that was a lot.
No, that's amazing. And when someone says they wrote their album from a place of despair, I'm like, let's go.
Okay, pause again. And I just wanted to recognise that, we're diving more deeply into what that honest, vulnerable, creative journey may consist of, and the space, the absolutely necessary space that it can open up in us if we want to do that work that's going to bring forward our unique voice, the reality of our experience, and allow us to connect with the audience in that deepest way.
It's a hard life, I can't lie, it's been a rush. But I'm lucky I got friends that I trust. Yeah. And I'll keep those teardrops from.
Alright.
It's a hard
I want to explore the difference between these two spaces. One which is in a busy studio surrounded by a lot of expectations, and not just from other people, but internal expectations, internal, like a want to get a certain kind of validation, and that's not putting anything negative on you. That's the reality of it, right?
Yeah, of course.
And then the other is, just you in this studio and in an entirely different country, and there's this, there's something that an idea that I took that comes around kind of therapy, and it's the idea of therapeutic space is a space where you can you create a kind of refuge or a sanctuary for the individual, and that allows them to connect with themselves in a way that allows them to process things and move things forward, and say things. And for me, when I think about artists and creatives, they're often looking for those spaces, whether that's I need the perfect room in my house, or I'm gonna definitely rent that studio next summer because that's gonna be the place where I finally can connect with that stuff. Is it too grandiose to say that, like, Tokyo kind of offered you that space, that refuge away where you could connect with that stuff?
Yeah. I found in Tokyo a place where I felt so incredibly lost that kind of the acceptance of that. I think that was it. Like in London, I was like, I want to say I was fighting for my life, but I wasn't. That's way too big. But I was desperately trying to like steer this fucking speeding car, and it was just falling to bits. The wheels have fallen off, and I was just...
There's just not a lot of noise, a lot of noise. Oh, God,
and I just couldn't do it very well,
Yeah.
I was really... I was struggling, but I was desperately trying to remain in control. And I think what I found in Tokyo is a sort of relinquishing any control that I did have, because I can't speak the language, I can't understand any of the signs, I don't know where I'm going, like, I don't know, like, lots of the food, when I didn't have a clue what it was, like, all of these things that I try and control in my everyday life, which are very easy to do here, I didn't have that. I didn't have, I'd had this falling out with not falling out, but I'd had this conversation with the label. I had a lot less control over my life. And I think Tokyo was the perfect place to come to terms with that. And you talk about therapy and all these things, and I've been doing a lot of that for about 3 years now. And I think one of the most powerful things that therapy can give you is an acceptance of the way things are, and as soon as you can accept things, like honestly, authentically accept them for what they are, then you find forgiveness and you move forward, and all these like very, very enriching things. And I think for me, Tokyo allowed me to, accept that I'm not in control of my own life, despite none of us are, we try and we can control what we have for breakfast, and perhaps like the route you take to work, if the trains are running as they should, which they never do, right? Even these little things never go to plan, nothing goes to plan, and coming to terms with that is a very powerful thing. And Tokyo allowed me to realize, like, fuck, like, I'm so lost. I will forever be so lost. I'll never be able to aim in this direction and achieve my goal perfectly and the exact route that I intended. It never works like that, does it? Like, if you think about where you were 2 years ago, what you were doing, what was important to you, and what's important to you now, and the way that you think about those things. Like, I'm sure they're very different.
Okay, we're kind of moving into the second half of the interview, and I want to just pull up there something that Murray kind of talked about, which is the idea of non-linear paths for creatives. It's that reality that although we have to hold space and push for the idea that this project that we're working on today or this year is going to be the one that makes us feel massively satisfied and really has the impact that we're looking for, the reality is we don't know, and we have to hold space for that, and we have to recognize that actually the thing that matters is underpinning that whole journey with a sense of self-belief, and what some of the artists that I've looked at on here may even call a delusional sense of self-belief, which is just, constantly recognizing that we're moving forward, right? And we can recognize that, and we can build space in our minds to hold that self-belief, that delusional self-belief, and also hold that long-term vision, understanding that we know that if we keep pushing in this way, then this is the road, we're on the path, we're walking it.
I can't see your intentions clear as mud. It's a strange kind of love. Backflip on the pavement, needing your attention. Did you spot me when you passed me on the way home?
One of the places that I think can help us step through, or at least myself, helps me step through to the kind of the real place where we're connecting and we're letting go a bit, and we're in that, we're present in that space, and then we're making the work that we want to make, and it means something, is one of the things that I think can help people get there is like a sense of community. That person you worked with in Tokyo,
Yes.
was that an interesting, how was that relationship with that person? And maybe it wasn't specifically close, or maybe whatever about that relationship worked, right, in order for you to do what you needed to do. So what was that setting?
Right. It's so interesting, man, because I think community is really important, because if you share your ideas with friends and they like it, or even if they don't, if they have constructive criticism or they can feed back, then it gives you a confidence, you know, because you're like, oh, I've shared my idea, like other people like it, or I've made the changes, and you know, it gives you this robustness, and you believe in it more. I think when I make music on my own, which I do a lot of the time, I'm a lot more insecure about it, because I'm like, this is just me, I think it's cool, like this is my taste here. But what I found in Taka Perry is who I worked with in Tokyo, was somebody who we shared a lot of the same taste, and we worked so incredibly quickly, which is his forte. He's so fast. We make something and then worry about it later. You know, loads of the songs that we're making at the minute, so they're whack, they're crazy, they're like, they'll never see the light of day. They're like, we've been making like some drum and bass stuff, like random stuff. Yeah. Just because that's the feeling in the room. We're like, let's do this for fun. I'm not thinking, but I'm not really like D&B artist, I can't drop that. Like, I'm like, yeah, fuck it, it's funny, right? Let's do this, and this lyric will be funny. But we make it so quickly, and it's done in an hour, and then we'll make something else, and we just keep doing this. And I think I find Taka allows me to just, it gives me confidence to just try something, you know, and just do something anyway. And if it's shit, then it's shit. And I don't mind looking shit in front of him, because he's my friend, and we have a very, very extremely close relationship. You asked if it was close or if it wasn't close. And for me, like, I can only make music with people that allow me to be incredibly vulnerable, and like making music can be very moving. But in terms of community, I think it does give you this confidence and this feeling of being slightly less isolated, because making music is, especially if you're writing lyrics and telling stories, it can be quite isolated and deeply introspective, and you can get very heady about it and stuck and being like, fuck, like, do I feel comfortable sharing this story? Does anyone care about this story? Blah, 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 like negative feeling after negative feeling. And if you got someone there being like, yeah, I really like what you're doing here, and like, we made this together, then I feel more confident about that.
Okay, as promised, I want to move into the final section really of this video now, which is going to be looking at social media and the effect it may have on the artist and creative in 2025. I'm not a freedom fighter and I don't hold any victimhood around the social media space. The reality is it exists and is underpinned by free market capitalism, and we can't open our hearts entirely to that. We can engage with it with boundaries, but we can't allow that noise into our space without awareness.
Well, I take it one more place, but just around this idea of staying present with when we're in our creative practice and how it relates to like social media these days.
Yeah.
And social media as a distraction for the artist, and then also a place where it's like it can sometimes, what they call it lives rent free in our head.
Yeah,
you know?
right.
Like when we're trying to connect with something and be present in the moment, but we've got all these expectations, and social media is such a, well, not all of it, I'm sure, but it's kind of lives on judgment, right? I think there's different waves at the moment about how people deal with social media. And I think people are finding their own space and a little bit more of a empowerment maybe around being able to choose. How is that for you? Does it affect your work? How do you manage your relationship with social media, I guess?
That is sort of like the crux of the whole, right at the heart of what it is to be an artist in 2025. It's, I find social media incredibly difficult. I wasn't on social media personally up until very, very recently. I didn't have any interaction with any of the band's social media. I employed other people to do it because it would just send me completely wrong.
Yeah.
I couldn't be on social media. I've changed that now. I think actually through my work in therapy and other things that I've been doing, I've come slightly more at ease with myself. So the idea of people judging me scares me a lot less. So I'm able to be on those online platforms now. But there is like a incongruence or a disconnect between, like you say, like in the studio trying to be as vulnerable and as raw as possible, and then knowing that you're going to have to do that online to like, not just your fans, you know, if it was just the fans, then that's fine, but you're trying to grow your audience, and to do that, you have to put those vulnerable, exposing feelings in front of a load of people that most of them, most people that are active on social media usually like haters, right? Because
it's a very toxic, judgmental space, a lot of it. You know?
Like if I'm going to watch your videos, because they look really cool, and they're on YouTube, and it's the kind of stuff that I really like. I love YouTube. So if I really enjoy it, I'm not going to leave a comment. I'm not even going to like it, probably. Sorry.
That's
if I really hate it, then I'm going to sign into my YouTube and I'm going to just go crazy on it.
If you disagree strongly with something.
Exactly. So like, social media is a place where you hear from people that really hate you, but very rarely do you hear from people that really like you. Or just like anyone moderately enjoying things is silent, right? And that's so true. You've got people that love it here and people that hate it here. This big middle space is silent, inactive, you know? And that's most people. There's so many artists now, so many, that their primary discipline is content creation. And then music is just like a subsidiary of their organization. Like so many people like getting signed because they are good at TikTok
snippets and stuff.
And that's cool. I'm not mad at that because I think that's an art form in itself, and that if they're making cool stuff, then good for them. Like they're artists, right? That's good enough for me. But I'm of the generation where like I just made music and then all of a sudden had to be fluent in online marketing essentially. And like, I don't know, I'm all right with it, but it's definitely, I would rather not have to use social media.
Yeah, I think it can be a really toxic space, and I'm not on haven't got Instagram or anything like that.
Oh, God.
And I
Damn
should have it.
Yeah.
I should have it objectively, and I will one day.
I know you will.
I just kind of get into that space.
Yeah, I was exactly like you one day. I also didn't have Instagram. But
I'm taking my tips.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Social media is also great for so many things.
That's it. It's a lot we said about sharing. Sharing's good.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
It is.
And finding people where they are and trying to connect them to something that means something to you is good.
Yeah.
I guess as a performing musician, I guess the live space is a place where you're able to connect.
Yeah.
With that audience, that audience who wouldn't necessarily catch you in other places, and they love your music and they want to be in a place with you where you're there, you're performing, and everyone's present in that place, and they are connecting with you.
It's so beautiful and unfiltered, you know, because you are just in the room together. There's no screen or any form of marketing or any wizardry going on. You're just in a room together singing songs that you all enjoy. Yeah, very sacred to me, those spaces.
That's it, mate. Me too, absolutely. And yeah, I think even as the world, or a lot of the story about the world is we're going more and more digital, and the buzzwords around AI and that stuff, which obviously is important and matters and all that stuff. But I think there's also this thirst for like real collective experiences around music. But look, with that, I'll close it off. Thank you, Murray.
We could just sit here all day, and I would like to.
Yeah.
The world won't allow it. Not this time. But yeah, thank you so much, man. It's
Thanks,
been a pleasure.
Murray.
Thank you.
Okay, as I say, I love that conversation, and I hope that you've enjoyed it. Importantly, I did my best with what I brought forward here, and just as importantly, it's now your role, if you'd like to be a collaborator here, to let me know if you really enjoyed it and engage with it in that positive way, and also to let me know if there's feedback, things that you enjoyed, things that you'd like to see more of, balance in terms of the pacing, all this good stuff. Be a collaborator in this space if you've watched these videos, as I say, if you like, just let me know you enjoyed this one. Thanks to Murray for being super open in this one. Go check out the record, I'm linking it below. Big shouts, big love to you for being a part of this journey of creative minds, as I say, especially if you've been watching these videos for a bit, especially if you're, seeing a little bit of the growth here and what we're trying to do here. Whoever's watching this, know that you being a part of this matters. It matters to me, your voice matters in this community, and that's no bullshit from me. And yeah, with all that said, good luck as always in your own work. Come check out the newsletter if you're interested in more of the stuff that I do and some of those full-length conversations with artists from this community. And yeah, peace, speak soon.
Stood upon this hill, there's so much for me to see. The Gherkin, the Shard and the National Gallery. In amongst the landmarks, there's little bits of me. I see my wedding day playing as photography. I see my firstborn child, yeah, they're just like me. Hopelessly devoted to their insecurities, struggling through their adolescence, saying it's a breeze, wondering why the parents forcing them to eat.